Did you know that MACK 10 and Ice Cube had beef? Let's talk about it. At one time, MACK 10 was one of my favorite rappers. Around that time, Ice Cube was in my top 10. So when they formed a supergroup with Dub C, Skip, called WESTSIDE Connection, I made sure I was going to be at that music store first thing Tuesday morning to pick up that album when it came out. The anticipation surrounding the WESTSIDE Connection album was huge. This was right during the time of the East Coast, West Coast feud that was bubbling. And WESTSIDE Connection were going to be our soldiers on the front line representing for the West Side. The album did great. I still bump it to this day on a Sunday afternoon. But unfortunately, WESTSIDE Connection didn't last as long as I thought they would. Why? And not only that, what led to Ice Cube and MACK 10 beefing? To understand that, let's discuss Ice Cube and MACK 10's history together. Their 1996 album, Bow Down, went platinum plus, fueled by Cube's industry stature, Dub C's OG credibility, and MACK 10's rising street persona. The group was aggressive in tone, targeting East Coast rappers and critics, pushing a West Side versus East Side stance during a very sensitive era in hip-hop. MACK 10 signed with Cube's label Lynch Mob Records, and Cube executive produced some of MACK's projects. Their relationship was not just artistic, it was financial and deeply personal. Cube even became MACK 10's best man when he married T-Boz from TLC in 2000. So what the heck happened? How did they go from best man at his wedding to enemies? The beef between Ice Cube and MACK 10 didn't explode in the same public diss track way as many rap rivalries. Instead, it unfolded behind the scenes, mostly tied to money, business, and personal agreements. After the group's second album, Terrorist Threats, in 2003, tensions rose. Cube's focus was increasingly on Hollywood, while MACK 10 wanted Cube to stay active in music. MACK felt Cube was neglecting the group. MACK 10 was known for investing in side hustles, restaurants, film projects, and his own Who Bangin' Records. And there were rumors that Cube and MACK clashed over money splits and who was financing what in WESTSIDE Connection ventures. MACK later said in interviews that the fallout was about business, not music. MACK 10 has claimed that after disagreements, Cube simply stopped dealing with him. According to MACK 10, Cube cut him off instead of hashing things out, which MACK viewed as a betrayal considering their history. A third WESTSIDE Connection project was in the works, but it never materialized. Dub C stayed cool with both sides, but he admitted that the beef killed the group's momentum. Unlike many rap feuds, this one wasn't about lyrics or disrespect. It was about money, trust, and loyalty. It highlights how supergroups often crumble due to business and ego clashes rather than music. For fans, the loss of WESTSIDE Connection marked the end of one of the last big, unapologetically gangsta collectives from the 90s West Coast. But what do you think? Comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And please hit that like button if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. Numbers wise, is Nashville more of a Crip city or a Blood city? Numbers wise, obviously.
As far as that concerned, man, the Crips definitely outnumber the Bloods in Nashville. But most recently, I'd say in the last 5, 6 years, 7 years, there's been a lot of factions of Bloods, man, appearing, and more cats coming down from Los Angeles, coming to Nashville, surrounding areas, putting cats on.
I had a cat on my show from Nashville, and he kind of mentioned that rappers like MACK 10 and Snoop Dogg had some sort of an influence on gangs in Nashville. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm gonna say this: maybe in his age bracket, he might be a youngster, and when MACK 10 or Snoop Dogg came, it may have been an influence for him and whoever he was around. But that's definitely false, because Crippin' and Blood was in Nashville way before MACK 10 and Snoop Dogg ever touched. So, yeah, that's false.
Okay. But definitely movies like Colors, would you say like stuff like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, things like that also kind of have an influence?
Definitely. I think, Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, man, had an influence on the black culture, period, and others, all over the United States. But as far as Nashville, it just ante up the crime. When you see a movie like that, it's so surreal, man, and it make you want to be a part of it, especially if you're a youngster, you don't know any better. It makes you want to be a part of that type of lifestyle. So I would say, yes, man, those two movies as well had a major influence. Crime, how to finesse it better, become a better criminal, and, drive-bys, prior to that, cats wasn't doing drive-bys and stuff like that, man. So gang culture definitely influenced, how things later became, as far as the streets.
Okay. Yeah, being that you're in the, the age range where we were around when crack cocaine was huge, I saw how it devastated communities in LA with Mile and Ice, even looking back, hindsight, but you were living through it. Did Nashville, or take me back to, the times when Nashville, had a crack problem and what you saw.
Well, I can say something for a fact, but I'm gonna leave that for the documentary. Mm-hmm. That's a little piece that's gonna. But when I was present when the crack first hit Nashville, but I became incarcerated, man, and did that 7 calendar year bid, and so I didn't see the uprise of it. Mm. I didn't see how effective it was, for users and for dealers, man. I could only hear what I would call home from the pen, and really what was going on the streets at that time in Nashville. Well, get money and in a major way.